Hi booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I am here with my last shaketember video of 2024. Shaketember is our month-long celebration of all things Shakespeare, and I have been so delighted to be a host this year, along with Nicole at A Day of Small Things and my husband Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse. Unfortunately, Jason wasn't able to make as many videos as he wanted to this year, but I assure you, Jason has been very sick this month. Both Jason and I got COVID this month, and honestly, I would not have had my 12th night video up for you that week if I hadn't filmed it in advance. So I also just want to briefly mention how sad I was on Friday to learn that we had lost Maggie Smith, a tremendous actress for decades, an Oscar winner, a BAFTA winner. She's just, and people are calling her a national treasure, and I realize that, you know, she's British, but I kind of want to claim her. I want to claim her a bit for the rest of us, because she was just a phenomenal performer, and she did play Lady Macbeth. And that's the play that we're here to talk about today, is Macbeth, the Scottish play. Now, before I get into it, earlier this month I talked about the Year of Lear, Shakespeare in 1606 by James Shapiro. So in 1606, people think Shakespeare wrote King Lear, Macbeth, and Antony and Cleopatra. And because Nicole at A Day of Small Things was gonna do King Lear, I thought, oh, well, I'll do Macbeth because we did Antony and Cleopatra last year. So I decided to read this, and I really struggled with this book. There were times where I was just going, why? Why is he going on and on about some things in here, especially related to Macbeth? And then when I picked up the play, it made so much more sense. It was literally like someone had turned the light bulb on this play for me. So I've only read Macbeth one other time. I thought I'd made a video about it, but I can't find it anywhere. So I guess it's good I can't hear my thoughts from last time. But I want to talk to you just a little bit briefly about what is going on in England when Shakespeare is writing Macbeth. So I don't know how we know that Shakespeare wrote Macbeth in 1606, but at the end of 1605, on November 5th of 1605, underneath Parliament in England, they discover barrels and barrels of gunpowder along with Guy Fawkes. And their plan, this group of Catholic gentry, wanted to blow up Parliament. They wanted to kill all political leadership, including the king, his family, and it probably would have killed a lot of innocent people as well who had nothing to do with politics. So it was a tremendous potential disaster, and it launched off an incredible manhunt for who was part of the gunpowder plot, because it wasn't not just Guy Fawkes. The whole nation is really rattled, and it wouldn't just go away at the end of 1605. It would linger. Who wanted to do this, and what would drive someone to do something so evil, right? And of course, Shakespeare doesn't answer that question for us, but he explores the idea in Macbeth. I just wanted to read, there's two passages that I want to read, but one of you reached out to me after my 12th night video about how many expressions were in 12th night that are part of our language now, and we forget that they come from 12th night, right? We forget that Shakespeare wrote them. And in Act 5 of Macbeth, Macbeth has a speech that says, "Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this pretty pace from day to day. to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. I just loved that. The next thing I want to talk to you about in terms of really seeing Macbeth in a new way is post the gunpowder plot. Again, massive manhunt, not just in London, but in the Midlands, looking for people who are part of this plot. And in the course of it, they find what's called the Treatise of Equivocation. Now, equivocation, prior to finding this document, had been more of an academic or a scholarly term. It wasn't something Shakespeare had only used it once at the end of Hamlet, with the gravedigger. Hamlet talking to the gravedigger. He'd only used it once in all of his plays before Macbeth, but it's in several times within Macbeth. And essentially the Treatise of Equivocation, which was written by Catholic Jesuits, was about how to lie about something related to the Catholic Church, but your soul is fine. Equivocation means concealing the truth by saying one thing while deceptively thinking another. And so because of this treatise, equivocation took on, it was no longer a scholarly term, and it was no longer a neutral term either. It had very negative connotations. And James Shapiro, in his book, The Year of Lear, he writes, equivocation made following the dialogue a mentally exhausting experience for playgoers. And this is specifically with Macbeth. The audience had to decide whether a claim should be accepted at face value, and if not, must reconstruct what may be suppressed through mental reservation. Okay, here's my whiteboard. I'm not an artist, you guys. All right, so we have Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, who, Macbeth is one of a thane in Scotland, and the thanes are, again, kind of like nobles, Scottish nobles. So part of me feels like they're a little bit comparable to the Catholic gentry accused of the gunpowder plot, but they're Scottish nobles. And Macbeth is one of the, he's the thane of Glamis, and Banquo, his friend, is another Scottish noble and also is a thane of another, it was like different areas. I'm sure it came with money and, castles and things like that. But he's not king. And he and Lady Macbeth have no children. And so Macbeth and Banquo are leaving the field of battle and hoping to meet up with King Duncan. And they meet the Weird Sisters. And all the Weird Sisters dialogue is, it's just, they're only in 2 scenes, but they're really great. And I really, really would love to see Macbeth performed on stage, because there's things that happen in the play that I just don't know how you would do on a stage. I just would be really curious to see what happens. So, I mean, maybe Macbeth and Lady Macbeth were more ambitious, social climbing kind of people. I don't know, but I mean, the king has 2 sons, not 1, but 2 sons. So the Weird Sisters tell Macbeth, not only is he going to be thane, of Glamis, but also thane of Condor, which is or Cawdor. Yeah, another. He's gonna take over another noble's area, And eventually he is going to be king. Now, Macbeth shouldn't have any right to expect any of this. Yeah, but the Weird Sisters tell Banquo that he will not be king, but his descendants will. And his son is Fleance. Banquo and Fleance were thought to be ancestors to King James I, right? Who's on the throne watching Macbeth. So that's how we get away. That's Shakespeare does some things in the play to make it okay to have a Scottish king on the throne and still talk about this tension that exists from the gunpowder plot, right? So, and I have equivocation up here because I think it filters out through all these conversations that people have. The Weird Sisters, I actually think, are the ultimate drivers. They may not carry out the actions, but they motivate Macbeth to do what he does. Now, I definitely think Lady Macbeth would like to be Queen Macbeth. So when she hears from her husband what the Weird Sisters have told him, they instantly go into action. The king shows up, and the two of them, I mean, they have one plot, it kind of goes a little bit awry, and then anyway, so King Duncan is killed. It's quite bloody, and then Macbeth becomes king. Now, because the reason why he becomes king is because these two escape. So Malcolm goes to England and Donald Bane goes to Ireland. So they get out of there. But again, equivocation. So the Weird Sisters are telling Macbeth, oh, you're going to be king. And Macbeth, I mean, why doesn't he just sit back? Why doesn't he just sit back and wait and see what happens? Like, maybe all three of them would have been killed in some horrific accident or something, right? It's medieval Scotland. A lot of things could have gone wrong. So he doesn't, but he takes action. Now, then he gets distressed about the idea that Banquo's ancestors, his descendants are going to be king of Scotland. And it's very confusing. It's very confusing, right? To understand, like, well, how could Macbeth be king, but then how could Banquo's son Fleance later become king of Scotland? Macbeth is searching for answers. He's seen things. There's again, I imagine it must be spectacular on stage. Like, I can't even fathom. But he's, there's daggers floating in the air, that kind of thing. He goes in search of the Weird Sisters, who tell him that he will be king. He will be king until the forest. And I can't remember the name of the forest. This is my forest. I know, it's sad. Until the forest moves up to his castle, right? So how could a forest move to a castle? And he also, the Weird Sisters also tell Macbeth that he cannot be killed by anyone who is not born of a woman. There's my woman there. Now, I think in a modern retelling of Macbeth, it might be easier to believe that you're not born, that there could be someone who's not born of a woman, right? We have all kinds of reproductive science has come a long way since Shakespeare. But at the time that this play is set, like, well, even Shakespeare's time, but still, medieval Scotland, like, everyone must be born of a woman, right? So it gives Macbeth this sense of invincibility. In the meantime, he kills Banquo. And Banquo, actually, according to history, and again, it's Holinshed's history, which is a little iffy, but Banquo and Macbeth went in on it together to kill King Duncan. So Banquo was actually his accomplice, but I don't think, that's not what Shakespeare writes. I mean, and I think there's even question as to whether Fleance and his descendants were actually the ancestor to King James, but that's how the play rolls out. Macbeth has this, I mean, he's seeing things and he's starting to kind of lose it a little bit, and then he feels threatened by the other Scottish nobles. So Macduff, who's another thane, goes to see Malcolm in England and try to persuade him to come and fight against Macbeth. And while he's gone, Macbeth sends his murderers, and maybe Macbeth is there as well himself, but they kill Macduff's wife and children. And it's an act of cruelty that I think is what tips Lady Macbeth. She goes far over the edge. I was thinking about Ophelia in her madness and Lady Macbeth in her own madness. Macbeth is feeling these, like, he's fine. He can't be killed unless it's by somebody who's not born of a woman, right? So who the heck is that? And he won't be run over until this forest moves to his castle. So it's equivocation because, like things can appear one way and actually be another. So Macduff does manage to persuade Malcolm. It takes quite a while to go and fight against Macbeth with the English, and they are and Macduff also finds out that Macbeth has killed his wife and children, and it's very, very sad. But Macbeth doesn't know that Macduff was actually, and again, reproductive science, it's like I said, come a long way. So, I mean, he was essentially, Macduff was essentially torn from his mother's womb. So, he didn't come out the traditional way. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean like his mom wasn't a woman, right? But Macbeth hasn't thought that far, like hasn't imagined that could be a possibility, right? And the other thing they do is when they go to fight Macbeth, they chop down trees. They chop down smaller trees to hide how many of their numbers are, and they move toward the castle. And when the messenger comes to tell Macbeth that the force is essentially moved to the castle, this is Macbeth's response. If thou speakest false, upon the next tree shalt thou hang alive, till famine cling thee. If thy speech be sooth, I care not if thou dost for me as much. I pull in or rein in resolution, and begin to doubt the equivocation of the fiend that lies like truth. So again, this idea of lies and truth and what is the truth, and so a little whiteboard of Macbeth, and of course, you know, the soldiers are successful, and well, and it's an unhappy, it's an unhappy ending for all, really. Malcolm becomes king of Scotland, but you know, there's questions about how ready is he to be the king of Scotland, and it's just a very unsettling ending. You don't really feel like everything has been resolved. And of course, there's the weird sisters out there, and again, their scenes are fantastic. This would be a really great play to read in October. It's so creepy in a way that, like I said, I haven't really seen in other Shakespeare plays. Just these kind of mystical, and there's a whole other thing in the Year of Lear about King James's obsession with witches and people who said they were possessed and accused other people. I learned a lot from the Year of Lear, and it made reading Macbeth such a more fascinating experience for me. So I'd love to know what you think about Macbeth. What's your experience been like of that? Or if you've seen maybe a film adaptation that you really love, or a filmed stage adaptation that you really love. I'd love to hear that in the comment section down below. As always, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji or give this video a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Anyway, again, I'm really excited to engage with you in the comment section about this fantastic play. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.